Sheehy loses it. Here's Rue. Rue trying to center behind the net. Rue comes back to the point. Shot taken, deflected wide. Backhand by Girardi. That's kicked wide. Here's a shot by Rue. That's knocked down. Girardi, a pile to the left. Shot, goal! Rue with his second marker of the night. 2-0 Hibbing, 11:26 to go, first period. Denny, same type of situation.
There you have it again. They were putting so much pressure on. Young Mackey couldn't do a thing. He went out to his left to try to smother the puck, and it squirted loose again, and there they are right in front of the net. Another easy goal. You can't fault Mackey for either one. He's done everything they've asked of him, and he's seen a lot of rubber here in the first 3.5 minutes already, and it's 2-0 Hibbing. But you got to give credit to the Blue Jackets. They're all over him.
That line of Rue. Girardi, who picked up an assist, and O'Brien has been all over the Blue Devils and the Virginia end of the ice early in this first period. It is 2-0 Hibbing, 11:19 to go in the period. Terrell out centering this line. Steve Terrell on the draw with Corey Gerlach just outside the Virginia blue line. Blue Devils batted to the Hibbing line. It's picked up right below us and shot back into the Virginia end. Around behind the Blue Devil net. Getting there first for Virginia is 17, Brian Mackey. He dumps it back to the near corner. Hibbing keeping the pressure on with Hardy. Mike Hardy loses the puck, and Metza has it behind his own net. Metza starts up the slot, gives it on the right side, and Virginia forces it out to neutralize. Play continuing right below. Jam up along the boards. Hibbing comes loose with the puck, and here come the Blue Jackets. Pete Wohlers, he tees it up, and he's wide by a couple of feet. Blue Jackets batted in around behind the Blue Devil net. Metza gets there first and works it up along the left board. Metza gets it back on a return pass and carries out to neutralize. He dumps in. Hibbing's Mike Hardy chasing around behind his own net to Wohlers. Wohlers has to go off his skate. It's loose right down in the corner. Picked up again on the back by Hardy. Hardy goes cross ice in his own zone. It's kept in at the point by Metza. His shot is knocked down. It's loose, and the Blue Devils have control. That's Speltz. Speltz backhands it down into the Hibbing corner. Play continuing there. Finally, the Blue Jackets working around to the near board. Right in the corner, that's Wohlers. He's going to look for a face-off, and I think he's going to get one. Jam up with 4 players. Whistle stops play. 10:07 to go first period. It's 2-0 Hibbing.
The only thing that prevented Hibbing from breaking out that time very easily is that there was a couple of sloppy passes. When Virginia's had to dump it in, Hibbing goes back, gets possession of the puck, and so far they've been able to come out quite easily. The only thing that saved them that time was pure and simple. There was a couple of sloppy passes. Otherwise, they would have broke right out of the zone. Virginia's going to have to forecheck on them when they're in the offensive zone.
Paul Paletti centering Scott Sano in the left, and Willie Speltz on the right for the Blue Devils. Hibbing counters with a line headed by 17, Doug Terrell. The Blue Jackets force it out to neutralize, batted off the far board there. The puck is loose, and now it's kicked into the Virginia end. Into that far corner. The Blue Jackets and Blue Devils jam up. It comes up along the point. Shot taken there. It's tipped wide. The shot was by Joe Gosted. Behind the Blue Devil net, 15, O'Donnell's having all kinds of problems. Speltz comes in to help out. He's ridden down and knocked down by Sullivan. Puck is picked up by the Blue Devils' Babaraki. Babaraki comes up a seam and gets out to neutralize. He shoots it into the Hibbing end. Into that far corner, there's Gosted for the Blue Jackets. Gosted works it to the near corner, slips and falls, controls the puck still. He's ridden off, but he has help on the way. The Blue Jackets looking for a face-off will have one. 9:17 to go first period. It's 2-0 Hibbing.
You know, when we pulled up tonight about 5 minutes to 7, I saw so many cars in the parking lot. We had to park way in the back, and I was thinking, oh, this place is going to be just jammed tonight. The people in Hibbing must all go to the game in one guy per car.
Nice crowd on hand here, as Denny mentioned. Nonetheless, the Blue Jackets and Blue Devils kicking off the IRC 85-86 season. Callister and Rue will face it off in the Hibbing end to the left of goalie Jim Monticelli. Rue has both Hibbing goals and quite similar scores. Shot into open nets after Paul Mackey had made a couple of big saves for the Blue Devils in goal. And the Virginia just failed to clear the puck, and Rue was there and whipped her into that open cage.
There's no doubt, Ole. You can't fault Mackey at all. He made a couple of big saves, real big saves, and he made an absolutely superb save right off the bat when it come down, and Rue took a shot, and he just got a piece of it. They come down again. They pumped some rubber at him. He kicked it out, and eventually it just the walls caved in. He got no help. Absolutely no help in front. The defenseman got to clear the puck. Mackey can't do it on his own. It's 2-0. If the Devils could get something going offensively, get back into this one. I think they're a little down now. You know, you fall behind 2 goals to a quality team like Hibbing early. It does demoralize you. I don't know, we're to have a little break here because Paul Mackey apparently has some equipment troubles. Maybe it looked like there was something wrong with his helmet or his face mask. But nonetheless, at 9:17 left in the first period, and Hibbing has already jumped out to a 2-0 lead. It doesn't spell anything good for the Blue Devils.
Danny, you had a chance to see all those teams in the Jamboree, along with your sidekick that night, Dutch Mahonen. Who are you going with to win the IRC?
Well, first of all, I got to tell all of the Dutchmen who are great fans that I did speak to the psychiatrist, and he informed me that Dutch is coming back in a couple of weeks, that the treatments are working well, that shock treatment has helped, and Dutch is back on the top of his game. He's presently up in Canada doing the play-by-play for Hockey Night in Canada, as we both know. But I'll tell you what, I watched really closely for the Hibbing-Greenway matchup that night, and it certainly didn't disappoint me. I enjoyed it. Hibbing, although they did lose in that shortened game, they played very well. Jernander, electrifying hockey player for Greenway. I still say Hibbing's the team to beat.
Oh, okay, the Blue Jackets are the favorite, and Denny Baca to his mind, and now the play continues right below. Virginia shoots out to the Hibbing end. Icing is on the way, and it is called on the Blue Devils. Denny, we may as well take a quick minute here and talk about Grand Rapids. The Indians have the most seniors back of any team, and maybe the best 1-2 goaltending punch. If it isn't in Hibbing, it's certainly in Grand Rapids in the IRC.
Well, in my opinion, I feel that Jabot and young Nelson over in Grand Rapids are the best 1-2 punch. That's strictly my opinion, but I'll tell you what, Hibbing has Monticelli. Monticelli played more games in nets last year than Hajduk did. And he's a superb goaltender, and you know as well as I do, as well as your team can go as far as your goaltending can carry you sometimes, and Monticelli's right in that mold. But when you look at goaltenders, the IRC has a host of excellent goaltenders. Bucky Jensen up at the Falls looks like he's going to be a very good goaltender. Mackey's going to do very well for Virginia. Ersbaumer from Elbeth, who's I'm afraid is going to be really tested this year because the Golden Bears are a little bit down. Kukowski over at Chisholm in a surprise team. The surprise team of the Jamboree was the Chisholm Cook Blue Streaks.
Play continuing in the Virginia end. You saw in that earlier faceoff, Rue got it back to Girardi. Girardi took the shot. Rue could not finish on the rebound, but Rue was right at it again behind the Blue Devil net. He centers it. Mackey bats it back behind the Blue Devil end. Here comes Metza. Metza trying to find a seam. He gets around Girardi and carries out to neutralize. Metza stripped of the puck. Girardi takes it back in. He takes a big check in his dump. Back to neutralize. Rue lays the body in for Hibbing, but the Blue Devils, he gets in over the line. He's ridden off the puck, and here comes Rue. He dumps into the Virginia end. Hibbing changing on that dump. Metza behind the net. He has a seam he can carry for a ways. He flips up along the right side and out to neutralize come the Blue Devils. Here's Callister. He avoids the check and kicks it into the Hibbing end. Terrell flips it up ahead, and it's now loose and neutralized. Blue Devils bat it right back in. Terrell gets it behind his own net for Hibbing. That's Steve Terrell. He flips it along the near board, and here comes the left wing, Sundvald. Sundvald is knocked off of the puck, and starting back there is Wohlers. Wohlers cuts across his own zone and carries out. Pete Wohlers tees it up and takes a long drive. Mackey steers it off to the corner. The Blue Devils, E. O'Donnell centers it, and here comes Gerlach out of his own end. Corey Gerlach over the line, flips in. Monticelli steers it over to the corner. Gerlach chases it down and is ridden off by Terrell. Terrell pokes it out to the blue line. Here's a chance for O'Donnell. His shot is partially deflected, and Hibbing comes out. The Blue Jackets, Kasner dumps into the Virginia end. O'Donnell is taking a hit behind his own net by Dilla. Tony Dilla puts the pressure on, but Virginia Speltz clears it not out into the far corner. O'Donnell is tied up by 16. Tom Sullivan, a couple more join the fray. 2-0 Hibbing, 7:11 to go first period.
Only Virginia's unable to do anything offensively when they get into the zone. It's either a missed pass or Hibbing just acquires a control of the puck. It comes out right away. It's going to be a long evening if they don't get some offense going. One guy you got to look for, the trigger man on the Blue Devils, I believe they're probably their premier goal scorer. You're going to have to look at Mike Callister.
On the draw into the Virginia corner, that's 11 for the Blue Devils. Scott Stanaway, he's ridden off the puck. Willie Speltz has it along the near boards. He headmans it to Paletti. Paul Paletti gets it just out over the line. Hibbing starts right back. Gosted, he gives way there to 16. Sullivan into the corner. He's ridden off, but the puck is still in the Virginia end. In that far corner, that's Stanaway. Stanaway kicks it out to the blue line. Hibbing tees it up and takes a shot. It's loose. Here's a chance for Gosted. Joe Gosted winds down to the slot. He takes a shot. Oh, it goes through everyone. A very weak shot. It was there to be deflected if anyone was Johnny on the spot. Into the far corner. Hibbing ties it up. The Blue Jackets break out over the face-off circle, back to the point, teed up shot, taken, saved by Mackey. Puck is loose. Mackey's able to cover up with Hibbing at the doorstep. That was Steve Stavness from the point.
That was a good play on Paul Mackey's part. Ole fought off the screen and was able to, he tried to glove it on the initial shot, lost control and fell on it. It was a good play on his part. Another point, Hibbing is picking up every loose puck. And anytime you do that, boy, you can make things happen. The Blue Devils haven't been able to do that. So far, it's been Hibbing all the way.
Steve Terrell on the draw with Mike Callister. This should be interesting. Callister gets the draw back to O'Donnell. O'Donnell has pressure, so he shoots it around behind his own net. Blue Devils working into the near corner. That's 13, Brian Corpy, trying to get it up along the boards. It's kicked loose, and Hibbing keeps the pressure on. O'Donnell for Virginia in his own end. Backhands it behind the net to teammate Babaraki. Babaraki's ridden off of the puck. O'Donnell wheels and comes back the other way behind his own net. O'Donnell's having all kinds of problems. Hibbing is doing a good job of forechecking. Finally, the Blue Devils crack out with Callister, but the puck is loose to neutral ice. Sheehy takes a hit and gives way to Callister. Callister with a little pass across the blue line. It's broken up by the Blue Jackets, and Hibbing starts back. That's 14, Pete Wohlers. Wohlers in over the line. He kicks it ahead to himself. Wohlers centers a pass, batted into the corner by Babaraki. Sheehy takes a hit in the corner. He's tied up there by 15, Pazuzzi. The Blue Jackets, Wohlers has the puck now circling the zone. Wohlers moves in along the top of the face-off circle. Wohlers gives off. Back to the point. Here's Hoosman. Hoosman takes a shot. That's deflected to a corner. Wohlers again. He's ridden off the puck, and the Blue Devils clear it, but not out. Shot in, deflected wide. Good shot taken by Hoosman, and it was deflected wide by Wohlers. Virginia forces it out along the boards, and into neutral ice comes Sheehy. Sheehy kicks the puck ahead off his pants, and it's shot wide across the zone right below us. There's Girardi for Hibbing, circling into center ice. Girardi in over the Blue Devil blue line. He's ridden off the puck, and it goes into the far corner. Darren Cobb kicks it up ahead, but Hibbing keeps it in. Here's a shot from the left point, tipped wide. The shot was taken by Hardy, and Mackey got a stick on it. Behind the Blue Devil net, Girardi working the puck in the corner. Girardi centers it. It goes through everyone and gets out to neutral ice, where it's controlled by Mike Hardy. Hardy across to his mate, Stavness. Back to Hardy. Hardy flips it, but not very well. It's loose right below us. Jam up, as you can see. 4 players there, and we'll have a whistle. 4:28 left, first period. It's 2-0, the Blue Jackets.
Well, Ole, it's been relatively a crisp first period so far up to this point. The Blue Jackets are pretty well in a position where they're able to do almost at will what they want with the puck. Virginia's having troubles both defensively and offensively. Another thing that you'll notice when the Hibbing forwards pick up a head of steam and Virginia's defensemen are at the blue line, the forwards are going right on around them. Virginia can't match up speed-wise. They're gonna have to start trying to knock them off the puck physically rather than try to poke check it, because so far they haven't been able to do that.
John Rue is up centering a fourth line for the Blue Jackets. Virginia chases it down in his own end. That's Metza behind his own net, being bothered there by 6 O'Brien. O'Brien gets it to Rue. Rue looking in the slot. Rue centers the shot, knocked down by the Blue Devils. There's a rebound, and it's loose. Rue behind the Virginia net. Rue has been the outstanding player to this point in the hockey game. There's a shot from the point. It's deflected wide. Mackey dumps both the Blue Devil and the Blue Jacket, who were both in his crease. Metza has it in the far corner. He centers it along the wing. It's kept in by Rue. Back to O'Brien, to Girardi. He tees it up. He shoots. It's stopped by Mackey. Here's a chance for Hardy. Hardy drives when it's deflected by traffic in front. Hibbing definitely controlling the play in the first period. No question about it. Puck loose in center ice. We've reached the 3.5-minute mark in the first period. Hibbing bats it into the Virginia end. And a chase there is Sullivan along with Mackey. Mackey dumps Sullivan. It's into the far corner. Now some crisp body checking from both sides. Centered through the slot, and it gets out to neutral ice. Here's Joe Gosted. He flips into the Virginia end. Hibbing changing up a few players on this long shift without a whistle. Mike Callister avoids a hit and pushes the puck, but not out. Hibbing keeps it in. There go the Blue Jackets. Schwartz just missed. There's Schwartz with a second opportunity. It goes off of Mackey and across the goal mouth. The Blue Jackets, Sullivan controls. Sullivan back to the point now for Hoosman. Hoosman tees it up. There's Schwartz. He backhands. That's just wide. The Blue Devils ball on the puck behind their own net. One of the defensemen, I believe it was Tom Metza. And that will stop play with 2:47 to go in the period. 2-0 Hibbing over Virginia.
Only it took the Blue Jackets about 50 seconds to get into this hockey game tonight, and boy, I'll tell you, they haven't done anything since that period to prove that they're not going to be playing high-flying hockey all night. The Blue Devils are a lot of standing around. That last 30 seconds, it was as though they were pylons out there, and the Blue Jackets just kept moving the puck, and Virginia's going to have to get their act together. It'll be a long night.
The Blue Devils, O'Donnell dishes off on the left side. Sheehy's going to be able to carry out. He takes a hit, and boy, is he dropped by Terrell. Puck is loose now along the near boards in the Virginia end. That's Zaboznik. Zaboznik working behind the net. Zaboznik centers to the slot. Oh, Terrell whiffed on a chance. That was big Steve Terrell with a chance to make it 3-0. Good check there by the Blue Devils, and Virginia has the puck. Given away to Terrell. Terrell from high in the slot. He shoots it over the top of the net along the near board here. That's Hardy. Hardy loses to Callister, who circled behind his own net. Virginia's had fits getting out of their own side of the ice. Callister flips up to Sheehy. Sheehy, he takes another hit in the center ice and has to give the puck up. Dumped back in by the Blue Jackets. Mackey tips it over to O'Donnell in this far corner. O'Donnell takes a hit from Terrell and is ridden off of the puck. Terrell having trouble now with the Blue Devils, Darren Cobb. Now O'Donnell and Terrell jam up. Girardi comes in and works with Terrell. There's a shot and a great stop by Mackey. The puck is loose. What a stop on the shot by number 4, Joe Gosted. Virginia forces the puck out to neutral ice. It's been all Hibbing in the first 15 minutes. Joe Gosted flips it in for the Blue Jackets. Virginia trying to stop it along the near board. Taking a hit there was 19 for the Blue Devils. Dean Edstrom getting his first shift of the hockey game. Still loose. Jam up of players, and now we have a whistle. And we also have our first penalty of the hockey game. It's going to go against the Blue Jackets. Mr. Girardi is going to get a couple of minutes for holding, I do believe, Paul Girardi. And the Blue Devils with 1:12 to go in the first period will have a chance to cut that deficit in half.
Well, only with 1:12 left in the first period, Paul Girardi is going to go off for holding. Virginia's going to go on the power play. Well, I'll tell you, they desperately need something to happen, something good. I believe the refs are going to have to start bringing Monticelli no dose because he's alone. He's the Maytag repairman down there, the loneliest guy in town. You know, it's purely accidental that the puck got down there in the last 10 minutes. I don't know how it did, but the Blue Devils will fight back.
Speltz flips it, but not in deep enough, and Hibbing shoots it out to neutralize Tom Metza. Metza carries over the red line. He's ridden back. He flips it to Speltz. Speltz gets around one, flips into the Hibbing end, but Schwartz is there to backhand it out to neutral ice and out of harm's way. Deflected out of play over the Hibbing bench. 48 seconds to go in period number 1. It's 2-0 Blue Jackets. Danny, have you had a chance to chart those shots on goal in the first period?
No, Ollie, I decided that this year I'm not going to do that. I'm going to take them right from the PA. We've had so many discussions about, you know, what constitutes a save that from now on I'm just giving in and I'm going along with the PA system. And I'm going to let him know when he's wrong. I got him counting on my fingers just in case I need him.
Face off, right neutralized, and it's flipped out to Metza.
And one thing's nice is because I don't know if I can count high enough for Mr. Mackey so far in his first period. He's been busy. Done a great job, too, by the way.
Callister busts in, but Gosted has it for the Blue Jackets with 30 seconds to go in the first period. He flips it along the left side to Huseman, who shoots at the length of the ice. That will just about do it for this period. 25 seconds to go. Virginia has time for one rush if it can get out of its zone. And Schwartz controls for Hibbing. Great job by John Schwartz. He did a good job killing penalties a year ago, if I remember right. Behind the Virginia net, that's 17 Mackey. Mackey flips it up to 13. Corpy. Corpy back to Mackey. Mackey now at center ice, red line. He flips it in. Corpy has trouble. It's ridden off the puck. Terrell comes back for Hibbing, and that'll do it. 15 minutes of hockey are over, and it's 2-0 Hibbing. Denny comments on the first period in just a moment. We want to remind you, good folks, in Hibbing, Virginia, Evelyn, Gilbert, and Mountain Iron, that these programs are coming to you on your cable systems, Hibbing Community College Channel in Hibbing, and North American Cable System in Virginia. Denny, how about the shots on goal and scoring?
Okay, Ole, for Jim Monticelli of Hibbing, they've got him going for 5 saves, and boy, I'll tell you, I don't remember them, because they were far and few between, and Paul Mackey had 12. You could see that Hibbing was dominating the play. Mackey played superb. You can't fault the guy. 2 goals were scored. He made 2 or 3 initial stops. Defense was unable to clear the puck, and they just scored. It's something that happens. Monticelli there again, 5 saves, virtually untested. A couple of those where he just froze the puck. It's one of those, if he didn't stop, it would have went in, but it really wasn't much of a shot. He just smothered it. I'll run over to scoring in the first period. It was John Rue all the way. He scored at, I believe it was 14-14. I might be wrong on that one, and I apologize for that. And at 11:26, he scored his second goal, assisted by Paul Girardi. Penalty to Girardi at 1:12 of the period for holding. Blue Devils simply didn't do anything here this evening so far, and yet they're still quite fortunate. It's only 2-0. Mackey's kept them in the game. Virtually, Monticelli, as I mentioned, really had nothing, no hard saves at all. And Virginia's going to have to come out in the second period and start skating.
We're just about set to hear the Hibbing High School band play the Hibbing High School fight song. And here it is. Danny Bakatu and your coach, Terry Cullen, you've just watched 15 minutes of hockey played mostly in your team's end. What do you tell your kids to turn it around in period number 2?
Well, Ole, I'll tell you what. Virginia did stand around a lot. I'm sure Coach Cullen told them that. He's going to tell them you're going to have to move the puck. So you have to start playing aggressive. They played laid-back hockey in the first period. In fact, to tell you the truth, they were out there public skating is all they were doing. And I'm sure Coach Cullen had some words for them. We're going to have to see how it comes out in the second period. But let's not take away anything of what Hibbing did in that first period. Hibbing played very, very well. It was only a great goaltending by Paul Mackey that's kept it at 2-0. They're high.
Was it 3 for a quarter in the first period in the Hibbing end?
I was just going to say the same thing. Every time they got down there, it was 3 shots for a quarter, and I'll tell you what, Mackey made a couple of great saves. Hibbing was able to get on the scoreboard twice with John Rue. Hibbing's playing very well. Virginia's just standing around. The best part about it is they were standing around and they're still in the hockey game. They're going to have to start playing some hockey. They're going to have to start moving that puck around, do what they do in practice. There was a lot of standing around that first period, and anytime you do that, anybody's going to beat you, especially a quality team like Hibbing. Virginia's going to be on a power play for 48 seconds as Paul Girardi is going to sit out the remainder of his holding penalty. A good opportunity for Virginia to crack one early. Monticelli virtually untested in the first 15 minutes.
We're back to live action, folks. This is in the Hibbing end. Blue Jackets, Gosted shoots it out off the sideboard and into the Virginia end. Chasing there for the Blue Devils is 17, but Maralt gets there first for the Blue Jackets. Maralt sends it. Terrell has to go under his stick. Here along the near board, Terrell takes the check, and he's knocked down. Callister behind his own net for the Blue Devils. Callister has a clear seam, and he carries out. Callister up over the red line, up over the blue, and then he's ridden off the play nicely by Huseman. Into the corner, there's the Blue Jackets, Gosted. Gosted has the puck kicked off his stick, but Terrell controls for Hibbing and flips out to neutralize. Here's Virginia's Metza. Metza tries to go cross ice. Terrell picks it off. Terrell cutting across the zone. Drops for Maralt. Back to Terrell. He backhands. He doesn't get much on it. No, Maralt's going to get himself 2 minutes for pushing the goal. Or Wohlers, excuse me. I'm still confused with a year ago, but that's Pete Wohlers who's been creating those problems in the Virginia end, and he's going to get 2 minutes for some type of interference, I believe, with goalie Paul Mackey. So Virginia will go right back on the power play, Denny. And my apologies to the Wohlers family.
I hope they come after you, Ole. It's about time somebody did. But I'll tell you what, even when they're short-handed, this Hibbing team is they're deadly. They ran a little give and go there, where Terrell dropped it back to Wohlers. Wohlers looked like he was going to shoot, and he was giving it back to Terrell. And they almost got one. They're a dangerous outfit. Wohlers is going to be in a penalty box for 2 minutes for interference.
Face-off right below us here, and it's controlled by the Blue Devils. That's number 10 backhanding it. Babaracki up along the boards, and it's loose again below us. Finally, O'Donnell carries into the Hibbing end. He avoids the check and forces it down into the corner. O'Donnell going to go cross ice on the other point, and it gets by number 10 over there. Babaracki out to neutralize. Here comes Schwartz. Schwartz in the race for the puck. Schwartz gets there. What action! Schwartz keeps his balance, centers the shot. Great save by Mackey. He got the glove on Doug Terrell's blast from the slot. Hibbing, even though a man short, is putting on all the pressure. Babaracki bothered by Doug Terrell. Babaracki wheels and stops in his own end. He gives it up along the boards, and Virginia centers it, but not out. Doug Terrell keeps it in along the blue line. Terrell dumps it into the corner where Schwartz retrieves for Hibbing. Schwartz back to the point here for 15. That's Pazzuzzi dumping it back to the corner. Babaracki's looking for a face-off. Hibbing will be happy to accommodate him with the Blue Jackets a man short. O'Donnell gets control, looks cross ice. He has it poked off his stick. Good effort there by Girardi. Girardi ridden off the puck by O'Donnell, but Girardi chased it behind the Virginia end. Batted up along the near boards here for O'Donnell. He bats it off the boards to Paletti, and it's loose and neutralized. Hibbing controls. That's Mike Hardy. Cross ice to Gosted. Gosted flips out, and it's just over the stick of Rue, and that will be icing. 12:40. No, there's a penalty coming. Excuse me. Now they wave it off. We'll have to straighten this out, folks. I saw the official with his hand up for the longest period of time, and now they're debating what they're going to exactly do. Denny, I saw that official with his hand up. I don't really know what to call it.
I don't either. I think what happened, Ole, was I think the referees lost sight of the fact that Hibbing was shorthanded. They did try to ice the puck, obviously, which they could do being shorthanded. I don't believe the ref realized it at that point when he raised his hand to make the icing call, and then he realized he made a mistake and was setting it off at neutral ice.
Here's Girardi knocked off of the puck along the far boards. Girardi gets it back, and Callister kicks it into the Hibbing end, but not for long. Hardy comes back. Mike Hardy over the red line, takes a shot at the blue. It's wide, and Girardi chased it down on the Virginia corner. Girardi with a nice quick move. He dumps it into the slot. It's picked out by Metza, who forces it up along the boards, but Hibbing keeps it in. Girardi from the top of the circle takes a shot. Mackey holds on and covers up. 12:10 to go. Period number 2. It's 2-0 Hibbing.
Ole, there's 2 seconds left on the Wohlers interference penalty, and Virginia did absolutely nothing on a power play. Hibbing had better scoring opportunities than Virginia did shorthanded in a shorthanded situation. Girardi, very nice hockey player out there, hustling on the shorthanded situation. Pulled the trigger a couple times. Mackey come up with a save. Virginia had, I believe it was 48 seconds to start the period on the penalty to Girardi, and they came back. They had a penalty to Wohlers. They couldn't do anything. Hibbing is simply all over them.
Hibbing storming the Virginia end, and now the Blue Jackets are at full strength. There's Wohlers centering to Terrell. He has to go off his stick, but it's loose to Pazzuzzi. Pazzuzzi takes a shot. It's knocked down by the Blue Devils. There's number 4 ridden off the puck. That was Paul Paletti. Hibbing kicks it out. Virginia kicks it out to neutral ice, where Hughesman dumps in for Hibbing. Around behind the Blue Devil net. That's 17, Brian Mackey. Mackey flips it along the boards. It's kept in there. Drive taken by Hughesman. Tipped over the top of the net. It's into the far corner. It's lodged into that far corner, and we'll have a whistle stopping play. 11:36 to go. Period number 2, Denny, and it's still 2-0. The Blue Jackets over the Blue Devils.
Only in the first 3.5 minutes of this second period, the only thing that Virginia has done right was purely accidental, because it came from the referee. The puck was in the Virginia zone, and the referee's mistake brought it out to neutral ice. That's the only way it got out there, because Virginia certainly hasn't been able to do anything, and it looks reminiscent of the first period. It doesn't look good for the Blue Devil fans, but on the other hand, for our good friends in Hibbing territory, you got a tremendous hockey team.
Hughesman takes a shot from a poor angle. It's kicked wide, but the Blue Jackets are trying to get control. Virginia comes up with it temporarily. Darren Cobb. He's ridden off the puck by Wohlers. Wohlers centering passes tipped into the corner. There's Steve Terrell. Terrell dips it along the boards here for Wohlers. Wohlers playing a little game with Terrell, circling and passing back and forth. Terrell bumps the Blue Devil off the puck, and Wohlers cuts across the zone and loses the puck to Gerlach. It's now loose and dumped back into the Virginia end. There's number 10, Babaracki. Babaraki takes a hit from Wohlers, loses the puck, but O'Donnell's there to cover up. O'Donnell bangs it up along the left board for Cobb. Cobb is knocked down by Terrell. Terrell back to the point. Here's a drive through a screen. It's loose and it's picked off by the Blue Devils. That's Babaraki. He just flips it the length of the ice. We'll get a whistle. It'll stop play. 10:43 to go. Second period. It's still 2-0. Still Hibbing.
Only when you said it's still 2-0, I guess that's the biggest mystery of the evening. Why is it only 2-0? Virginia has absolutely done nothing in the first 15 minutes. They're almost 5 minutes now in the second period. They haven't done much. Hibbing is just all over them. Virginia, I feel right now it's just a matter of what the final score is going to be. But they're going to have to do something. If they're going to continue to stand around like this, Mackey will be the busiest guy in town.
Doug Terrell on the draw with Mike Callister of Virginia. Callister does get control and kicks it behind his own net there to 17, Brian Mackey. Mackey finds a seam, centers it a little too long for Callister, and Hibbing controls. And neutralized. Callister flips it into the Hibbing end, chasing down there for the Blue Jackets. That's Mike Hardy. Hardy flips it along the left board, kept it at the point, shot taken. The Blue Devils putting on their first pressure of any kind in the second period. Brian Corpy has it ridden off his stick, and it's shot out to neutral ice. Looking for some room is Brian Mackey. He shoots back into the Hibbing end. There's Hardy for the Blue Jackets, cutting up a seam and flipping along the right boards. Hibbing gets it out. Schwartz forces the puck into the Virginia end. Here's 17, Doug Terrell, but we've got a whistle, and we're going to have a penalty on Mr. John Schwartz of Hibbing. Interference, 2 minutes, Denny. So with 10:03 to go in the second period, Virginia once again has a chance. Virginia has not had a penalty yet tonight, Denny.
No, I'll tell you what, it's going to be really fun if it happens, but sometime during the course of the season, obviously we'll see the Blue Jackets on a power play. I'd like to see it. I'd like to see what they could do and how they set it up. Their dynamite outfit, I'm sure their power play is really exciting to watch. Virginia, again, now they're on the power play. They've got to get something going here. They've had too many chances where they've been the man advantage, and they've really done nothing. They seem to be playing real tentative, and if you can't get up to play Hibbing, you can't get up to play anybody.
It's deflected into the Hibbing zone. Getting there first for the Blue Jackets is Joe Gosted. He takes a bump from number 11, Stanaway. Puck is still loose. It's picked up finally by the Blue Jackets and dumped the length of the ice. That was Cal Huseman, who's done a real good job here tonight on defense for the Blue Jackets. Virginia in their own end. The Blue Devils trying to set up. Babaraki cuts across his own zone. Sophomore Randy Babaraki up along the sophomore Scott Stanaway. There's Willie Speltz. Speltz gets by. He's around Huseby. He shoots a hole in the backhand over the top of the net. Back to the point now. Girardi runs it down and gets it out to Virginia's line. Here's Girardi around and in. He gets help now from Rue. Rue with a good move to avoid a check. The Blue Devils work it out. Nice move by Paul Paletti. Paletti coming in 3-on-1. The Blue Devils. Paletti holds it. His shot is knocked down by Gosted. Here's Gosted picking a hole and driving it the length of the ice. Paul Mackey tees it up for his defenseman. Coming around, that's Brian Mackey. 44 seconds to go on the man advantage for Virginia, which trails 2-0. Forcing his way into the zone is Cobb. Cobb ridden off of the puck by Terrell. Terrell dumps behind for Gosted. Gosted back over to Terrell. That's Steve. Steve Terrell up along the far boards, bangs it off those boards and into the Virginia end. There's Mr. Wohlers dueling with Metza. Metza wins this one, but Wohlers won't give up. He's relentless on this forechecking effort. Wohlers looking to set it up now. Pete Wohlers has a man cross point. He goes to the top of the circle now, shoots from the slot. It's knocked down by Mackey. There's Wohlers once again behind the Blue Devil net, being bounded by Callister. Callister knocks the stick out of the hands of Wohlers, and finally Virginia gets control. Wohlers chased him down from behind, knocked down the Blue Devils, and it's loose in neutral ice. Now Hibbing's going to start back into the Virginia end. That's John Schwartz out of the penalty box. Schwartz comes in, takes a shot, he scores! Schwartz beats Mackey low to the glove side, and it's 3-0 Blue Jackets midway through the second period.
Well, Ole, it was John Schwartz doing it again. Coming down, took a quick wrist shot, just beat Paul Mackey at the low left-hand side. Mackey might have been a little fooled on that one. It didn't look like like Schwartz got all of it, and I think Mackey got a little bit fooled, and he shook his head afterwards. He felt that maybe he should have had it. Nonetheless, Hibbing with another goal, are up 3-0.
So the Blue Jackets' relentlessness finally pays off with a marker here in the second period. 3-0 Hibbing. Doug Terrell centers. It's loose in the slot. The Blue Jackets fight for control. It's back to the point. There's a drive. That's knocked down by interference. Schwartz gets a backhand down, and Mackey had to be quick to make that stop. There's Kasner. Back to the point. Here's a drive taken by Hardy. That's knocked down, and Virginia comes out. On the right wing, there's number 11, Scott Stanaway. He centers it in the slot. It's picked off by Hibbing. Kasner flips out to neutralize. The Blue Devils teed up. Babaraki drives it behind the net and into the near corner. Controlled there by Hibbing. Here come the Blue Jackets right back out. Doug Terrell flips it off the boards ahead for number 9, Troy Dilla, but it was offside. 7 minutes exactly left second period. It's 3-0. Hibbing.
Only the official scoring was number 3, winger senior John Schwartz, assisted by number 10, Mike Hardy, junior defenseman. Hardy just gave Schwartz the puck. Schwartz came in on Mackey's right side, let go with a wrist shot and beat him to his glove side. Low. 3-0 Hibbing.
The Blue Jackets driving into the Blue Devil end where the play has been most of the evening, folks. Here's Virginia's Brian Mackey flipping it along to Billy Sheehy on the left wing. Sheehy gets out over the line with a good head of steam. Oh, good check thrown into him there by Mr. Pete Wallers, and Hibbing has control behind its own net. That's Scott Sundvall. He's ridden off the puck. Callister trying to get some operating room, but he's knocked off the puck, and here comes Terrell for Hibbing. 2-on-2. Terrell working a game here with Sundvall. Terrell keeps it. He moves in. He goes behind the net now on his backhand. There's a drive taken. Wallers, and Mackey never saw it, but it did deflect off him into the corner. Metza ties it up for a face-off, and we have one with 6:15 to go in the second period.
Ole, we played almost 9 minutes of the second period, and depending upon how the official scoring looked at when young Speltz went down on goaltender Monticelli's right-hand side, and he let go about the backhand, or whether it indeed went all the way over him, it looked to me like Monticelli might have got a little bit of it with his shoulder. Would be the only save he'd have in this period. You're not going to win a hockey game unless you pump some rubber.
We talked to Terry Collin prior to this hockey game tonight, and the Virginia coach did say that his team has not had a good chance to work on its offense, and that's apparent.
And so far, truer words have never been spoken, because they haven't done anything here yet this evening. And again, I have to repeat, it's not all their fault, because Hibbing is by far the superior hockey team tonight, and they've been all over them. When they're shorthanded, they're dangerous. When they're equal strength, they're dangerous. And I just hope Virginia doesn't get in a penalty box, because I'm afraid what'll happen if they go on a power play.
There's Girardi dishing it back to the point. Hibbing keeping the pressure on. Girardi in the corner. Back to this near point. Stavness, he tees it up. It goes over the top of the net. Keeping it in is Gosted. To Girardi. Girardi has to go off his stick, but it's right back on the stick of Girardi. He tries to center rule. It's loose. You see the scramble. Finally, Hibbing comes loose. Girardi takes a shot from a bad angle. Gosted tees it up and drives it. It's deflected. Mackey holds on, and that is still loose. And in the far corner, Hibbing keeping the pressure on. O'Brien flips it back to the point. He gets a stick on it again, but it was a back and forth offside, and 5:19 remains in a 3-0 second period.
Ole, these are goaltender nightmares when you're in a situation like this. Monticelli down on one end, he needs no dose. Brian Mackey's down on the other end. He's the busiest guy around. He should sue the rest of the team for lack of support, because they haven't given him any tonight, and he's down there, and it's you said it earlier, it's 3 for a quarter. I don't believe there's a guy on the Hibbing team, including a coach, that hasn't taken a shot at him yet.
Here we go. Hibbing back into the Virginia, and Doug Terrell centers. It goes off a couple of bodies. It's loose. Backhand by Schwartz. Quick save by Mackey into the corner. Now it's back over to the near corner. That's big 17 for Hibbing. Doug Terrell. Doug is only a sophomore. Centering, bang, bang, and oh, it goes off the pipe. What a break for the Blue Devils. That was Terrell's shot off the feed from Schwartz. Bang, bang play, and Hibbing comes away dry. Flipped out to neutral ice. Blue Devils trying desperately to get something going. Hibbing will not allow it. Ridden off the puck was Brian Mackey. Hibbing's Doug Terrell centers it. There it is. Oh, and another flip is just wide. Schwartz from Terrell. Cross ice to Gosted. No, that's not Gosted. That's Houston. Houston takes another whack at it. It's loose. It's in. Number 16. Tom Sullivan will get credit for that goal. I do believe either Sullivan or Doug Terrell. I'm not quite sure. But it's 4-0 Hibbing, 4:25 to go in the period.
Only while we'll wait for the official scoring, but goaltender Paul Mackey was arguing with the referee. I think he felt that he was down and one of the Hibbing players wasn't allowing him to get up in time. He might have a valid point to a certain degree on that one. Nonetheless, Hibbing is just storming the gates.
We'll get that official scoring. And it was Sullivan. And Denny will recap the assist in just a moment. 4-0 Blue Jackets. Into the corner for Hibbing. That's Stavness. He whips it around the left side, and Hibbing comes right out of its own end. Terrell. Steve Terrell is in. He can backhand it. He does, and he's wide. Stavness keeps it in. There's a shot on goal. Mackey has to steer it wide. Virginia really looks like it's a little bit intimidated at this stage of the hockey game, with good reason. Hibbing has been an awesome team tonight, and there's not much more that can be said. Here's Callister in neutral ice for Virginia. He tees it up and drives one that's wide. Kept in there at the point by the Blue Devils, but not for long. Hibbing skates it out. This is number 10, Mike Hardy. Hardy drops it for Wohlers. Wohlers moves around the face-off circle. Wohlers cuts into the center. He backhands and it's stopped by Mackey. There's another tee out by Hardy. It's loose, and 15 saved a goal there for the Blue Devils. Neil O'Donnell as it was creeping across the goal mouth. Behind the net, the Blue Devils teeing it up and driving it is O'Donnell, but not out. Wohlers keeps it in. Virginia trying to come out of its own end with Darren Cobb. Cobb in neutral ice. He backhands it into the Hibbing end.
Only when Neil O'Donnell came through the crease and saved that potential goal, I'm going to give him a save, and that makes him and Monticello even. Each got one.
Virginia gets a shot off, and it's caught in the uniform of Steve Terrell with 2:57 to go in the second period of a 4-0 hockey game. The Blue Jackets.
Holy, Paul Mackey's played very well tonight, and the one thing he's going to have to do after this game is get a new goalie stick, because I'm sure this one will be wore out after this affair. Virginia has absolutely no offense. And let's call it like we see it. They've been standing around a lot.
Metza trying to keep it in along the blue line. He does. He takes a bump there, and O'Brien goes down. He gets a little worse for that collision. O'Brien gets the puck back on his stick and centers it neatly, and out comes Rue. Rue over on the left side for Girardi. Girardi trying to get around. Girardi does. He centers it. Here's a chance, and it's loose. Kicked loose by the Blue Devils. Edstrom. Ahead to Gerlach. He's knocked off the puck, and Girardi comes back for Hibbing. Girardi avoids the check, but the puck is loose. Metza flips it out to neutral ice and out of harm's way temporarily. Flipped back in by the Blue Jackets. Rue. Rue stretches but can't get control. Girardi does and bats it behind the Virginia net. Ooh, a dangerous little move, but a nice one nonetheless to get Cobb free in the left wing. Cobb shoots into the Hibbing end. Blue Devils changing on the fly as Joey Gosted shags her down for the Blue Jackets. Gosted along left wing, flipped up to Rue, and Rue is out to the red line, and now he crosses the Blue Devil blue. Rue on his backhand, wheels, turns, centers, off the stick here of Houston. He backhands, there's a save, and it's loose, and Hibbing chems away dry. Right back to Houston, he shakes another forehand drive. There's a shot from the slot. The Blue Devils clear it into the corner. Mackey has made 2 or 3 saves in the last 15 seconds. Looking for a whistle there is the Blue Devils, Paul Paletti. He does not get one, and Hibbing keeps the pressure right back on. Into the corner looking for breathing room is Brian Mackey. He flips it right up into the air, and Hibbing ties it up. No whistle yet as the Blue Jackets are not ready for a face-off. Hibbing centers it back to the blue line, and it gets by Pete Wohlers into Hibbing's own end. The Blue Jackets regroup and start again. There's Rue. It goes off his stick, and Virginia has it. O'Donnell, he flips out to neutral ice. Delayed offside here on Hibbing as O'Donnell sets up in his own end. O'Donnell avoids the hit and gets it ahead, and there goes Paul Paletti. Paletti tees it up. His drive is deflected up over the top and on a play with 59 seconds to go in the period of a 4-0 hockey game. Hibbing on top.
A virtual blowout, Ole. There's nothing else you could call this, and I'm not trying to be a comedian here and badmouth these Virginia at all, but they haven't done a darn thing out here tonight, and Hibbing's all over them, and it's the only surprise here this evening right now is the score. It's only 4-0 because Hibbing has totally out-dominated them, and I mean a total domination in this game. I believe Monticelli's only got 1 save, if indeed he does, and in 14 minutes and 10 seconds, that's not very good hockey.
Well, we knew this was going to be a big rebuilding year for Terry Cullen and the boys, and it's going to be, although Hibbing is a pretty tough stick to measure yourself against this early in the season.
There's no doubt, Ole. Hibbing has one of the finest youth programs around. You know, they're a machine over here. They just keep grinding them out. Virginia, we all knew they were going to have a down year, so you know things like that happen. But at the same time, they're not even trying. Is what I'm trying to say. They're tentative. You know, you got to go out there and you got to fight. Not all of them, of course. There's a couple of players that are giving it their all, but a lot of them are standing around. A real lot of them are standing around.
Here comes Terrell back for the Blue Jackets. That's Doug Terrell. Nice move, crossed over on his backhand, flips it over the top of the net. Off the deflection. Terrell and Sheehy battle, but it's back to the point. Still loose. Finally, Schwartz has it. He centers it on the way to Pazuzi. Pazuzi gets it into the corner for Schwartz. Schwartz wheels and he shags or gets rid of that Blue Devil quickly. Terrell centering pass is knocked back into the corner, and Virginia's having loads of trouble. Brian Corpy can't get it out. It's along the boards. Finally kicked out to neutralize. The lead offside here on Hibbing, but it won't matter because the second period is all over. And Hibbing has doubled its 2-0 lead and now leads by a score of 4-0 after 30 minutes of hockey. We'll get the official saves and the scoring in that period. There was some scoring. Hibbing, of course, with both of them. Denny, quickly the saves in the second period.
Well, Ole, my prediction was right on the. They gave Monticelli no saves. I thought he might have got a piece of the Spelt's backhander, but apparently he didn't. We'll have to look at it again. But incredible when you can play 15 minutes of Irish or any hockey, and he had 0 saves. On the other hand, Paul Mackey had 12. So at this point, Mackey's got 24 saves, Monticelli with 5. I'll run down quickly what happened in the second period. We started out, Virginia was on a power play for 48 seconds, got nothing going. As soon as the teams went equal strength, Hibbing went in the penalty box. Pete Wohlers for interference. Virginia, nothing on a power play. The 10:03 mark, penalty to John Schwartz. Interference, again, nothing. 2 penalty, 48 seconds plus the 2-minute penalties. That's almost 5 minutes that they were on a power play and never got a shot on goal. At the 7:49 mark, Hibbing scored. It was John Schwartz with the goal, assisted by number 10, Mike Hardy. And at the 4:25 mark of the second period, number 16, Tom Sullivan scored to put the Hibbing Blue Jackets up 4-0. I'm going to call it 4 minutes and 48 seconds. And Virginia was on a power play during the second period, Ole. Never got a shot on goal. Unheard of. Absolutely unheard of. And a credit to Hibbing. They were all over them. Great, a short-handed situation they played.
I think you have some appropriate comments on tonight's game through 2 periods of play.
Well, Ole, I mentioned to you during the intermission, and I'm going to mention it to our fans. Goaltender Paul Mackey of Virginia should draw a pension from Goodyear because he's faced a lot of rubber here tonight. For starters, Hibbing's been all over the Blue Devils. I find it absolutely incredible, and the people that we've talked to, I just talked to a good friend of mine, Dennis McClellan from the Hibbing area, and he felt the same way I did. It's incredible that in 15 minutes, a goaltender did not have a save. It baffles me. Virginia was on a power play a couple of times. Best of my knowledge, 4 minutes and 48 seconds during the second period, they were on a power play, and yet Monticelli never had a save for the Hibbing Blue Jackets. It boggles the mind to even consider it. It amazes me that you can do that in high school hockey. Virginia, I don't know, maybe their practices have been tough this week and they're tired or something. I don't really know what to say, to tell you the truth. I'm amazed.
We want to remind you that this crack camera work you're seeing tonight is compliments of Aaron McCabe in the Hibbing cable area and Paul Brinkman in the Virginia cable area. Denny Bakatoon's on the color of the Soli Zupits with the play-by-play. 15 minutes of hockey or more to go. If Virginia can rally and send this one in overtime, we'll see a little more than 3 periods.
Well, Ole, you're not optimist, but I believe you me, it's not going to happen. As Paul the Wizard Brinkman told me during the intermission, he felt that Hibbing didn't want to let this one get away like they did last year when Virginia came in here and caught him napping. He might have a valid point because Hibbing was by far ready for this game this evening. They're playing good hockey. Virginia, virtually nothing. Monticelli has 5 saves in 2 periods. You or I could have made them, let's face it. They've been all over them. Virginia hasn't done much. You got to start working at your game plan. Don't plan on winning this one, but you got to start getting ready for the remainder of the season.
So we'll see now if Hibbing can apply the coup de grace on the Blue Devils in the final 15 minutes. It's 4-0 Hibbing, and we're underway. Puck is loose in the neutral zone. Rue has it for Hibbing. He drives it into the Virginia end in that far corner. It caroms behind the net. Girardi comes loose to the puck. He centers it right back to the point. Drive taken, saved by Mackey. The puck is loose, but Mackey's able to cover up as Huseman hits a drive from 30 feet away.
Holy, that was another example. Hibbing's right on him in the first 15 seconds to get a good quality shot. Mackey comes up with the save. WHLB announcer Bobby Cohen told me after the second period.
The money?
He mentioned the same thing pretty much that everybody was talking. If Mackey wasn't in the nets tonight, it might be 12-0 was the exact quote.
Loose in the corner, Billy G pokes the puck, but Gosted forces it in behind the Blue Devil end. Joe Gosted gives it out to Rue. Rue centers it on the feed to O'Brien. O'Brien tries to go back to Gosted. It's broken up by Metson, kicked into the far corner. Sheehy tries to start out for Virginia. He can't get out of his own end. Metsa bangs it up along the boards and into the Hibbing end, where it's chased down by Huseman. Huseman now will set the offense for the Hibbing Blue Jackets. Up to Girardi. Girardi to Rue. Back to Girardi. Ahead to Rue, and it's broken up and neutralized by Callister. Callister ridden off of the puck, but the Blue Devils are there to respond, and that's 14 carrying it over the line. Mick Roby. Roby loses the puck, and here comes Joey Gosted for Hibbing. He moves around the Virginia end, and he's on his backhand. He's dumped by O'Donnell, and O'Donnell and Gosted both go into the boards. Puck is battled for, and they get a quick whistle. 13:49 left in the third period. It's 4-0. Billy Olson's Blue Jackets on top of Terry Cullen's Blue Devils, and Virginia does not look like it's going to be the thorn in the side that it has been to Hibbing, at least not off of tonight's performance.
No, it doesn't right at this moment, Ole. Virginia will improve. There's no doubt about that. You almost have to compare to what they've done here tonight because they virtually haven't done much. One point I'd like to bring up about the Hibbing Blue Jackets is popular consensus from the people I've talked to was that if Hibbing was going to have a flaw in their game, it was going to be that they were going to be relatively weak on defense. They're going to have good up-front forwards, good goal scoring, and obviously with Monticelli quality goaltending. It's hard for me to say whether or not that's really true because Virginia hasn't tested their defense tonight, so the jury's still out. I talked to a number of people from the Hibbing area that have mentioned that on this defensive situation, we'll have to remain, the rest of the season will tell the story there.
Here's a backhand try. It's loose. Roby can't get the shot off on the point. O'Donnell, it's knocked down by Roby. His own man in front, and Hibbing clears. Here go the Blue Jackets. There's Wallers. He tees it up. He drives it. Mackey covers up and holds on. Denny, I really believe that Hibbing has the most talent of anybody in the IRC, but I like Greenway because I really like the way the Raiders play the game.
There's no doubt, Ole. I mentioned it during the Jamboree that Greenway plays as pretty a style of hockey as any team around. Hibbing is real aggressive, though, and when you have that heart and that fire and that desire, it makes up for maybe you don't play the style or the type that you want to, but you can get away with it. And Hibbing, they've certainly got some quality players out here again this year like they did last year. They're going to be strong in their nets. They're tough up front. I believe that Greenway is going to give them their best competition. I picked Hibbing 1 and Greenway 2, and I picked Grand Rapids 3. Grand Rapids, I picked 3 because of goaltending. I believe that they're going to win their games low scoring. They're not going to have a lot of offense, but they've got great goaltending in Jabot and Nelson, and what a luxury to have. And when you look around at other teams that are starving for a goaltender, Aurora White Lakes, for example, who has 2 sophomore goalies, Grand Rapids defeated them during the Jamboree 5-0, and yet Aurora had some great scoring opportunities. They have some talented personnel up front. They're weak on defense, and they have sophomores in the goals. It's tough to win in any division of hockey when you're playing with underclassmen all the time, and baptism under fire in the Jamboree, and their goaltenders didn't play real well at all.
Play continuing in the Virginia end. Hibbing's got the pressure on. There's a shot taken backhand by Terrell Doug, and it is deflected wide, but kept in by Gosted at the point. Behind the Virginia net, now into the corner. That's Terrell once again, Doug Terrell. He flips around behind, and Hibbing is Johnny on the spot to keep the pressure on with Sullivan. Into the near corner, back and forth, corner to corner. Virginia not being able to even crack its own end of the ice. At least not in the first 3 minutes of this third period. Hibbing drives it right back into the far corner. That's Brian Mackey. He rides off a check of O'Brien, but can't clear it. There's a shot from the point by Hibbing. Mackey gets a stick on it and deflects it out of play. That brings the whistle, and that gives us a line change with 11:50 to go in the hockey game. 4-0 Blue Jackets.
Only much like the first two periods, all the loose pucks, it seems, it seems as though the Hibbing Blue Jackets are coming up, picking up the loose puck and going back to their offensive scheme of things. Virginia, again, they just can't get anything going. It's just a great tribute to Hibbing. They're just simply all over them. Blue Devils can't get anything going.
Are you running for office over here or what?
Not yet, but, you know, if a mayor's job or a councilman job comes up, my name's in a book. You give me a call.
Here comes Virginia out to neutralize. Number 8 on the rush, ridden off, was John Bussey. Bussey getting his first smell tonight.
I got a feeling if I'm going to run for office, I better do it over here, because after this tape, Virginia fans aren't going to love me no more.
Bussey whiffs on a shot, and he had a good chance. Virginia keeping the pressure on. Sheehy falls and tries to keep control of the puck. He forces it forward, but Wohlers is there to pick up for Hibbing. As we notice, Wohlers and Steve Terrell have been taking some alternate shifts on the blue line, so Hibbing is trying to become as versatile a team as it can here early in the season. There's Wohlers starting to rush, and he's clear. Wohlers in over the line. Wohlers is all alone. He drops it. Oh, and it goes under the stick of 14 of Hibbing. Pete Wohlers on the setup. Into the corner, that's Chad Walters. He's knocked off of the puck, and Virginia gets it out to neutralize Darren Cobb. He tucks it into the Hibbing end in the corner here. Wohlers backhands it to Terrell. Comes up along the boards on the stick of Chad Walters. He flips it, and it does clear into neutral ice, where Terrell regains control for Hibbing. Puck loose and neutral ice. Finally, Metza for Virginia. He avoids the check and dumps it into the Hibbing end on goal. And there's a cat call of an applause as Monticelli makes his first save in a period and a half.
Two of the Virginia faithful just started clapping their hands. Monticelli was tested on just a scorching drive.
There's Hibbing coming into the Virginia end. O'Brien and Metza battling along the boards. And the whistle stops play. 10:15 left, folks. 4-0. It's all Hibbing.
There's no doubt about that, Ole. This is a tough time for an announcer because there isn't really much we can say that we already haven't said. Virginia hasn't played well, and Hibbing's playing very well. That's pretty much it in a nutshell. Sometimes we have a tendency to get a little carried away on some of these things. I'm not picking on any of the individual kids on the Virginia team. They just weren't prepared tonight to play hockey at all.
Into the corner, Darren Cobb being pressured by the Blue Jackets. O'Brien comes up with the puck. O'Brien centers it. Mackey steers it behind his own net. Finally comes loose, and Virginia flips it up ahead. The pass is a little too long, and Hibbing controls with Pazzuzzi. Pazzuzzi drives it right back into the Blue Devil end. Mackey leaves it there for his defenseman, and it's flipped up along the right boards, but kept in by Hibbing. That's Rue. Rue is ridden off the puck, and it's loose now in the Hibbing end. Huseman chasing it, being pressured by the Blue Devils. Gerlach, and it comes loose to Girardi, who breaks into clear ice. Up ahead to Rue, back to Girardi. Girardi takes a poor angle shot and rips around and goes wide off the boards. Virginia gets it off the boards to neutral ice. Gerlach dumps into the Hibbing end. 9:30 left, 4-0 Hibbing. Huseman to Girardi, to Rue. Boom, 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 and Hibbing is out. Girardi in offside ahead of the puck, and they do call it with 9:22 to go.
Only Mr. Monticelli in a Hibbing net so far on the evening has only got 6 saves. A couple of those, they weren't what you would want to call great saves or anything. They were just simply steering the puck aside. Had Hibbing played here tonight without a goaltender, and if Virginia scored on all these supposed saves, it would still only be 6-4 Hibbing. That's how well the Blue Jackets are playing this evening.
Loose at the Hibbing line, but Hardy has it for the Blue Jackets. The puck is deflected by Virginia into the corner now along the sideboards. What a job there by 17, Doug Terrell, forcing it out to neutral ice. Play continuing a little bit sloppy now. Mike Hardy dumps it off a referee, and it's Schwartz over the line for Hibbing. His backhand is knocked down, and Virginia's O'Donnell chases the puck against the near boards. Schwartz gets it back. Oh, we tried to feed 16. Tom Sullivan. Look out, fellas. We don't want to see anybody get hurt in this hockey game. Here comes O'Donnell out to center ice. O'Donnell feeds it ahead to Speltz, and that did not look good in Hibbing's. Hardy has it behind his own net. Speltz forechecking, trying to tie up Hibbing and hope for a face-off in the Hibbing zone, but the Blue Jackets work it loose. Stavness back behind the net for Hardy. Give and go, Stavness up into the center slot area. Doug Terrell is out to neutralize. Terrell is in over the Virginia line. He tees it up and drives a shot. He scores! Off the glove of Paul Mackey, and it's the only goal tonight that Hibbing's got. I think that Paul Mackey would have to say, whoops, I should have had her. 8:13 to go, 5-0 Blue Jackets. And Paul is entitled to one or two of those.
Well, Terrell came down on his left side, on Paul Mackey's right side, and just let go of a wrist shot, went right over to the glove hand of Paul Mackey in the upper right-hand corner. 5-0, 8:13 left in this hockey game. Normally I like to say in regulation, but at this point we're just going to go with this hockey game because let's face it, folks, this one's history. It's just a matter of the final score. Hibbing just keep coming at you in waves.
Here comes the Blue Jackets, Zaboznik, off the feet of Terrell. Zaboznik loses the puck, but Terrell is there to pick it up into the far corner. Terrell centers it. Mackey clears it back behind his own net. There's Steve Terrell, back to the point. Gosted, he drives. That's knocked down by interference and into the near corner. Hibbing again with pressure on the Blue Devils. Zaboznik tying it up, and we'll have a face-off. 7:35 to go. It's 5-0 Blue Jackets.
Well, only about the only good statement that can be said about what you just said is there's only 7:35 left. Because again, I have to repeat myself. There's not much you could say about it. It's just Hibbing looks very, very strong for this time of the year. I felt they played a very good hockey game against Greenway in the Jamboree. Score-wise, Jamboree doesn't mean nothing. Kenny Jernander, a very good hockey player from Greenway, got both the goals in that game, but Hibbing did have a lot of opportunities. Another point I should have brought up earlier, and it escaped me at the time, the night of the Jamboree, Greenway played a sophomore goaltender. If I'm not mistaken, his name was Stolp. Played great. Hibbing had some good chances, and he just denied them.
There's Terrell with the backhand, and the puck is kicked down by the Blue Devil defense. Drive from the point. That goes wide and through the crease by Huseman. Finally picked up by the Blue Devils, Paletti. He is knocked off of the puck, and he does kick it ahead into the zone of Hibbing. There's number 4 behind his own net, Gosted, losing the puck. Good job of forechecking by John Bussey. Whistle stops play. Denny, I'll say this for the one and only time tonight. This is the worst you're going to see Virginia look all season long. Virginia has a lot of room for improvement, and I really think the Blue Devils will improve from game to game.
Oh, I agree with you 100%, Ole. They're going to improve, and after watching this, you almost have to. You know, let's be honest about it. They haven't played well, and again, you know, we're not trying to be comedians up here and make light of this whole situation, but really there isn't much you can say.
Chasing it into the corner is Hardy of Hibbing. He gets control of the puck and bats it up ahead. Now Rue is to neutralize. He's poke checked off the puck, but there comes O'Brien chasing it in. O'Brien centers to Rue. Oh, the old behind the back shot. He's just wide. Shades of Wayne Gretzky there. I think Rue's been watching some hockey night in Canada on Saturday nights. Rue again with a chance. He backhands. Oh, it's tipped wide. Mackey gets a glove on it. Girardi behind the net for Hibbing. He centers it. Mackey tips it in. Virginia's other Mackey, Brian, has control behind his own net. Brian Mackey shifts out of his own end and flips it high into the crowd. Souvenir for the fans. Hold on to it. Denny will autograph it after the game.
Immediately after the game. Whoever the lucky person is, I just bring it over. Myself, Ole, and Paul Brinkman will autograph it, and that might have been the only good thing Virginia's done here.
And Aaron will also autograph it from the Hibbing.
Right. I'm sorry. I'm not used to this, doing two different announcers here, but usually I just pick on one team. Tonight I have an opportunity to pick on two, although I've found
double your fun.
You bet. I've found no fault on Hibbing, but Hibbing fans, if you get an opportunity during the course of the year to listen to us again, one mistake and we lowered a boom on them.
Hibbing trying to come out of its own end, and it does. There's a backhand to neutralize. Number 9, Troy Dilla. Dilla's ridden off the puck in Virginia's. He bats it ahead. Sukab, who takes the shot from neutral ice, and it's wide. Terrell backhands it along the near boards right below us to Chad Walters. Walters in over the blue line. On his backhand, Walters now behind the goal line, centers it. Mackey stuffs it behind the net. Comes loose and it's picked up by the Blue Devils. 13 on the drive, Corpy. Corpy ridden off the puck. Here's Terrell. Terrell cuts across the zone, drops it. Poked off of the stick of Dilla and cleared to neutral ice. Hibbing in its own end, Pete Wohlers. Wohlers ridden off the puck in Virginia's O'Donnell, drives it into the Hibbing end. Schwartz is there with 5:20 to go in a 5-0 hockey game. Here come the Jackets up to neutral ice and a nice boom pass there. 17 Terrell. Back, shot, save, goal! Bang, bang, bang. Stavnes was involved. Terrell was involved and putting the finishing touches on that drive. I'm not quite sure if it was John Schwartz, but I've got a hunch it might have been, Denny.
I believe it might have been Schwartz also. We'll wait for the official scoring. Again, Hibbing just coming at you. Beautiful passing.
So Hibbing stretches its lead to 6-0. We'll have the official scoring. We do have a hunch it may have been John Schwartz. That would be his second goal of the hockey game if it is indeed his red lighter. Collision along the boards. Virginia trying to punch it into the Hibbing end. And Hibbing comes right back at him. Terrell, Doug Terrell, cuts in front. He gets a shot. It's loose. He takes another shot. It's knocked down by interference. Finally cleared by Cobb, and he shoots at the length of the ice. That will be icing. Oh, the officials missed that one. Okay, we'll continue the live action. Gosted behind the net to Stavnes. Stavnes loses it across the front of his own crease, but there's 17, Doug Terrell, to bat it behind the Gosted. Gosted with a nice move, and he's going to carry out. He's poked off of the puck, and Speltz has a lone break, and he teed it up from 35 feet away. Denny, who was that goal scorer for Hibbing?
Ole, it was number 12, Steve Stoffness, a junior defenseman. They've got him listed as, and he was assisted by number 17, Doug Terrell, the sophomore center. Unfortunate, young Speltz wound up and took a shot. He should have went in and moved in a little closer. Might have gotten one on the board for Virginia, but the game's over. It's 6-0. There's 20 some odd seconds left in this hockey game. It's a shame that he didn't get a better scoring opportunity.
Puck goes out of play along the far boards over the plexiglass here.
Although maybe the best or the toughest save that young Monticelli has made here this evening, outside of early when Speltz took the backhander in the second period, and apparently the official scoring felt that he didn't get a piece of it. I thought Monticelli might have got a little part of his shoulder on it. They didn't feel that way, so they went through the second period with no saves. I believe he only has 2 in this period.
Here's Girardi. He's in, folks. He takes a shot. Mackey comes on and cuts the angle on, makes a save, and the backhand goes through the legs of Mackey and into the far corner. Centered in front. Mackey has to steer that one into the other corner. Hibbing has not had enough yet, it does not appear. The Blue Jackets keeping the pressure on. O'Donnell, pressured, wheels and loses the puck to Girardi. Girardi knocked off of the puck, but it's kept in by the Blue Jackets. There's Rue. Rue tees it up. He takes a shot, hits the top of the glove. Mackey knocks it down, and Girardi's there for the rebound. O'Donnell ties Girardi up, but Girardi gets it out in the slot for O'Brien. He shoots and scores! O'Brien from Girardi. And O'Brien showed his strength by breaking a check, keeping his stick on the ice, and then finishing that drive off the pass from Mr. Paul Girardi. 7-0 Hibbing, a minute 56 to go.
That's right, Ole. It was Andy O'Brien. Number 6 will get credit for the goal. He's a junior winger. Hibbing just keeps coming at you. They're throwing all the lines of play. They just keep coming at you in waves. Played excellent here tonight.
It's 7-0 Hibbing, and we're into the final minute and 30 seconds of this hockey game.
Ole, it was Andy O'Brien scoring, and the assist will go to Paul Girardi, the official scoring.
Dumped back out to neutral ice by the Blue Devils. Terrell there. That's Steve Terrell shooting it to the line for Hibbing. Blue Jackets aren't through yet. Zaboznik in the corner, along with Wohlers and a couple of Blue Devils. Back to the top of the face-off circle. Here's Hardy, goes under his stick and out to neutral ice. We're into the final minute of hockey, folks. It's 7-0 Hibbing. Metza gets around. One man flips it ahead, but it's kept in, and Hibbing is taking all kinds of liberties with Virginia at its own blue line, as well it may, with a 7-0 lead in the hockey game. Contact in the Virginia end. Brian Mackey takes a check, but flips the puck behind his net. Here it's centered, and it comes through everyone, and it's onto the stick of Corey Gerlach. He's hit and knocked down, and the puck goes down into the Hibbing corner where Gosted retreats for the Blue Jackets. Gosted pressured there by Gerlach. Hibbing starts out again with Sundvald ahead to Terrell. That's Steve Terrell. Nice move crossing over. Terrell takes a shot. But did you see that, Danny? He switched from his normal right-handed shooting position to a left-handed shot and got a lot on it. Good athlete, that's Steve Terrell. 3, 2, 1. Hibbing is 1-0 in the IRC in an awful impressive performance tonight over the Virginia Blue Devils, 7-0. We'll have the final saves, shots on goal, and a quick third period scoring summary as you look at the Hibbing Blue Jackets and the Virginia Blue Devils meeting in center ice. The 85-86 season is officially underway, and it's a good start. In fact, it's an auspicious start for the Blue Jackets and for this young Blue Devil team. It could have been worse. Virginia give it a good run and found out that it's a little bit short on talent when it stacks up with Hibbing, at least to this point in the season. Denny, how about the shots on goal and scoring?
Well, in the third period, they have Jim Monticelli for Hibbing on with 2 saves, gives him a 3-period total of 7. Unbelievable. And for Virginia, Paul Mackey had 12s all the way across the board. He had 12 saves in the first, 12 in the second, 12 in the third. Game total, of course, of 36. To take the shots, the saves, Hibbing just dominated this game. They had 7 goals. You can't fault Mackey. He had 36 saves. They outshot him approximately 6-1. And really, Monticelli was virtually untested all evening. Hibbing looked great here tonight. Virginia's got a lot of work. I know that they'll come back and play some better hockey. That they got a lot of work to do. It was just an all Hibbing night here tonight. If I had to pick a star from Virginia, it obviously would have been Mackey. He played very well. The third period scoring, I'll just run over that quickly. I won't go through the whole game scoring. Hibbing was up 2-0 after the first 15 minutes. After the second period, it was Hibbing 4-0. In the third period, Hibbing at 8:13 scored. It was Doug Terrell, assisted by Mike Hardy and Cal Hausman. At the 5:10 mark, they scored again. Hibbing getting the goal, Steve Stavnis, assisted by number 17, Doug Terrell. And at the 2:12 mark in the third period, thankfully the final goal, let's put it, was scored by Andy O'Brien, assisted by Paul Girardi. John Rusick got 2 goals in the first period for Hibbing. Hibbing looked very well. When you look at their scoreboard, everybody had a hand in it. Rue with a couple of goals. Girardi played very good. I guess the biggest factor of this whole game, or not a factor of it, but something that brings your eye to the what happened here tonight. In the second period, Virginia went better than 4.5 minutes on a power play, and in the second period, Monticelli had no saves for Hibbing. Tremendous effort by the Blue Jackets. Virginia's got a lot of work. I know they'll accomplish something during the season because they only pumped 7 shots at Monticelli. I'm not criticizing Jim Monticelli as a goaltender by no means. I feel he's one of the best in the IRC, but I could have made every one of those saves.
Well, that about says it all.
And that's what a curved stick these guys are using nowadays.